So Joe Biden is on the campaign trail, and even though he's a zombie, even though he's half dead, even though he's struggling to get full sentences out, he is in attack mode. I think that's kind of undeniable. And so I got a couple clips here for you. It shows that he kind of understands, at least in the moment, that aggression is necessary. This kind of reminds me of 2012 Obama, because in 2012, of course, Obama was running for re-election. He was up against Mitt Romney. He had a kind of an underwhelming first term. But one thing Obama definitely knows how to do is campaign. Governing Obama is totally different from campaigning Obama. Governing Obama is corporate, neoliberal, moderate. But campaigning Obama, when he wants to be, he can be a firebrand, he could be aggressive, he could be populist, and it worked. I think his 2012 campaign was honestly even more interesting and worked better than the 2012 campaign. So here's Biden, and he's taking some shots, dog. Let's watch our first clip here.
I want to hear it from MAGA Republicans, officials who had hundreds of thousands of dollars of debts, even millions of dollars in pandemic relief loans forgiven, who now are attacking me for helping working class and middle class Americans. My team at the White House posted a video of this, folks, online. You should check it out. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she and her husband got $180,000 in business loans forgiven from the PPP program. She said it's completely unfair for us to forgive student loans for working and middle-class Americans. Representative Vern Buchanan of Florida said our plan was reckless. Guess how much he got in that program? Forgiven. $2,300,000.
God damn.
This is not a joke. Can't make this stuff up. Republican governors wrote me a letter saying this relief only helps the elite few. You all know you're the elite few? I knew you were really special, but I know you're the elite few. I'm serious. Ted Cruz, the great senator from Texas, he said it's for slackers, quote, slackers who don't deserve relief. Who in the hell do they think they are?
Look, this is what we've been begging for. We've been begging for Biden and the Democrats to take this issue of student debt relief and clobber Republicans over the head with it. Because this is one of those things, it's a rare thing, where Democrats actually do something good, they do something positive, and as per usual, after they do something they can brag about, they can get macho about, they can puff their chest out about, they decide, oh shit, I'm kind of scared of the right-wing framing and the right-wing attacks on this issue, so I'm just going to, shut up about it and not, make an issue out of it. But the fact of the matter is, the polls are clear on this, man. People support it. People like it. People are on your side. You're materially helping so many people, 43 million people. 90% of the relief goes to people who make $75,000 a year or less. This is helping working class people. And then there's plenty of people who don't have student debt, but they have somebody in their family or a close friend who has student debt, and they're happy that they're getting relief. And so, if you do something good and then shut the fuck up about it, you're not going to get the full political benefit of doing that good thing. You got to do the good thing and then remind everybody, hey, remember who did that good thing? Remember who did it? And this is when Trump cut those checks, he was out there bragging about the check. He wanted his name put on the check so that people know, oh, it was this guy. This guy helped me. I'm going to vote for this guy now. But usually, Democrats will do something half decent, and then it's, we're going to be afraid that they're going to say we're in favor of big government and that we like the debt and the deficit to be high and that we're actually really helping billionaires by helping the working class, and so why don't we just shut up about this? It'll probably be better for us if we shut up. No! Let your nuts swang, dog. Get out there and say, guess what? We canceled the student loan debt. They're trying to block the cancellation of that student loan debt. By the way, the case where they've actually had now a half victory is Republican-led states are suing on behalf of the student loan processors. So these are sharks. It's like they're begging to be disliked and despised. So go out there and talk about that shit. Now, it's only temporary. It's for the moment being. They're saying you can't do any student loan debt relief until we conclude the trial, basically, right? But it's the Republican states that are leading that charge. Ted Cruz took this up as like a main issue of his. How do I stop this student loan debt relief? You know, people who are more politically competent would look at that and say, oh, yummy in my tummy. I'm going to obliterate you over this. This is like with, what's that guy's name? Dan Baldock, who's running for office. In fact, Tulsi just campaigned for this guy. He made a big issue of, I can't wait to kill the lower prescription drug prices for seniors. So his position is higher prescription drug prices. If you don't make him pay a political price for that, then you are abysmal at playing this game of politics. There's two separate things here. There's policy and then there's politics. On the policy front, student loan debt reduction is a good thing. Lowering prescription drug costs for seniors is a good thing. But the politics portion of it is, and then you take the opposing team and you say, how the fuck can you oppose this? Are you out of your mind? Are you that deeply corrupt? You can't even give a little bit of help to working class people? And so this is what, you know, I want to see from Biden. This is what everybody should want to see from Biden. I still got more for you. So I haven't watched this one yet. This is in More Perfect Union. The 6 largest publicly traded oil companies made more than $70 billion in profit in just 90 days. God damn. So here's what President Biden says about that.
So my message to oil companies is this. You're sitting on record profits, and we're giving you more certainty. So you can act now to increase oil production now. The third thing I'm doing is I'm calling on oil companies to pass the savings on to consumers. Consider this. In the second quarter of this year, profits at 6 of the largest producers, publicly traded oil companies, were more than $70 billion. That's $70 billion in just one quarter, 90 days.
Okay, remember, that's profits. That's profits.
$70 billion. So far, American oil companies are using that windfall, the windfall of profits, to buy back their own stock, passing that money on to their shareholders, not to consumers. In fact, in the first half of the year, those same companies spent $20 billion buying back their own stock, and most importantly, buying back the most significant buyback in the last almost a decade. That's great if you own a lot of stock in an oil company or if you're an executive at an oil company.
Okay, so this one is good because he's calling out the problem, but it is bad in this specific sense. The Democrats are getting absolutely hammered on the issues of inflation and the economy. It's where they're taking their biggest L's, and by the way, those happen to be the issues that are most important to the American people, according to the polls. So you have to have a counter-narrative, because Republicans are bashing you over the head with inflation, but they're not even proposing any solutions. They're just like, inflation bad, blame Democrats, vote for us. That's the gist of their argument. So if you're the Democrats, you have to have a convincing point on inflation. The main line that they've been going with recently, not here, but is, inflation's happening all around the world, it's not just an American problem. Okay, but that doesn't really address how you're going to fix it, how you're going to make it better. I understand, and what they're saying is factually true. It's happening everywhere, and in fact, our inflation is lower than a lot of other places. But you have to make an argument, link it to what you just said, Joe Biden. Link it to corporate profits. There's been a number of analyses that came out recently, anywhere from 50% to 60% of inflation is attributable to corporate profits. They're making record profits right now. Record profits. Call that out. Call that out. Blame them. Say, you know what? I'm going to do a windfall profits tax. We're going to do a windfall profits tax. We're going to give it back to the people because they are price gouging you right now, and we're going to fix it. That's our solution. Windfall profits tax. He mentioned stock buybacks there and how grotesque it is, that they're doing this as they're jacking up prices. Okay, well, stock buybacks used to be illegal until the 1980s when Ronald Reagan rolled that back and made them legal. Why don't you ban them? The other thing you could do is you can brag about the fact that you just passed with the Inflation Reduction Act a giant tax on stock buybacks. It's a 1% tax, but that is going to give you billions of dollars of revenue. So, Brett, hey, we're taxing these motherfuckers. Bring these things up. We're going to do a windfall profits tax. We already tax stock buybacks, and the next thing I'm going to do is ban stock buybacks. because they've gone way too far with what's going on right now. This is what you have to do. These are the arguments that you have to make. So now he's calling out the problem. He's calling out corporate profits. But there was another clip of him from not too long ago where he basically is telling them, like, stop doing stock buybacks. What is this wagging your finger at them and telling them don't do X? That's like when Hillary said, I went to Wall Street and told them to cut it out. Well, how'd that work? It didn't stop what they were doing. You have to make them do what you want them to do. So you can ban stock buybacks. You can do a windfall profits tax. You should be calling out a new corporation every day or every week and saying, here's how much they're making in profits. Here's how much they've jacked up the price. And the fact of the matter is, there's been reporting on this in a number of different, outlets. Business Insider had an article about this. What's happened is a lot of big corporations have taken the hysteria around inflation and just used it to jack up prices across the board, even for things that aren't impacted by inflation. Another thing that's leading to inflation is what? The supply chain. Okay, so why don't you brag about the fact that we're onshoring 350,000 jobs? That we're addressing that issue, we're fixing that issue. Now, that's a long-term fix, admittedly, but we're actually working on it. There was a net job loss under Republicans. They outsourced more jobs. So bring that up. So look, he's doing an okay job. He's doing better than I would have expected him to do on this issue, but look, you have to clonk him over the head with the right arguments. And the right arguments are, we're bringing back 350,000 jobs. That's going to fix the supply chain and in turn lower prices. I'm going to do a windfall profits tax on them, and we're going to return the money to the people. Because they are price gouging right now. It's not okay. And we have to get them in line. Get the corporations in line. That would work. So anyway, that's another clip for you. And then I got one more. This is another one that I haven't seen yet. Fox News' Peter Doocy said, the top domestic issue, inflation or abortion. And then Biden responds like this.
Top domestic issue, inflation or abortion.
All important. Unlike you, there's no one thing. It crosses the board. Domestic, ask me about foreign policy too. There's multiple issues, and they're all important. And we ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. You know that old expression. Thank you.
By the way, this is the most lucid I've seen him in a while. It seems to me like he definitely just popped his Adderall before this clip. Because he's with it. Let's watch it one more time. He seems like more sharp than he normally does. You know how he's kind of like stumbling over his words and he's half asleep most of the time, and it almost sounds like he's had like 7 or 8 beers. This is a better version of Biden. Watch this.
Inflation or abortion.
All important. Unlike you, there's no one thing. It crosses the board. Domestic, ask me about foreign policy too. There's multiple issues, and they're all important. And we ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. You know that old expression. Thank you.
All right, so I think he's right. I think Democrats can run. Tom Hartman did a great segment where he talked about the rule of threes. So if you're the Democrats, you have to pick 3 things and run on them aggressively. And, of course, abortion has to be in there because there's an all-out assault on freedom at the moment from the right. And then, you have to throw in economic issues, like I just said, inflation, talk about a windfall profits tax or something like that. And then you could pick one other, $15 minimum wage, whatever it might be. And this is better than what I've seen from him before. But here's my main concern, is that the Democrats really struggle with message discipline. There is no message discipline among the Democrats. And so you have this scattershot approach where all these different people are saying all these different things. And so there is no main thrust in a midterm election. And like, just to give you one example, Tim Ryan, who otherwise actually running a half-decent campaign against J.D. Vance right now, is being very aggressive. He's made up a huge gap in the polls. He was down a lot. Now it's almost even. Tim Ryan was slamming Joe Biden's student loan debt relief. I think he fell for the propaganda of like, oh, the right is going to attack the Democrats and say, this is helping elites only. And he bought into that framing, and so he ran away from his own shadow at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But see, that's a problem. That's a problem. He's wrong on the policy, and he's wrong on the politics. This is something that's a big win for Democrats, and it's reflected in the polls. Biden's numbers with young people shot through the roof when he did the student loan debt reduction. But my point is, it's scattershot. There's no agreement. It's not like the Democrats have a meeting and they say, here's our main issues, here's our main talking points, let's hammer away. And the problem is, they're getting routed on this issue of inflation and the economy. They just are. They're getting routed on those issues. And they don't have to be getting routed on those issues. Because again, there was a time when I would have told you, there's no hope for the Democrats. Biden has a 33% approval rating. He hasn't done Dickie McGee's acts in a really long time. And so it's just, you're going to suffer the consequences of your own actions. You made your bed, now you're going to sleep in it. But the fact of the matter is, like I said, the tides have turned. And so you have a situation where Republicans went after Roe versus Wade. That's been tossed out by a Republican Supreme Court. 157 Republicans voted against gay marriage. 195 Republicans voted against a right to contraception. This is an all-out assault on freedom. This is the right going far right and becoming massively authoritarian. And I haven't even brought up the fact that the majority of them think the last election was illegitimate and they would throw it out right now if they could, and they had the power to. Okay, so you got all these issues. Okay, you have to make them pay a price, man. Make them pay a price. Have your issues, hammer away on them. Inflation, the main point everybody should be going back to is windfall profits tax. Corporate profits are the problem. They're making record profits right now. 50 to 60% of inflation is just because of corporate price gouging. We're going to change that. We're going to fix that. Whereas these guys, what's their solution on inflation? They don't have the solution on inflation. They want to give more tax cuts to these rich ghouls and goblins, to the corporations and the billionaires. They want to cut their taxes. They want to deregulate more. This is going to in turn lead to more price gouging. They're going to make the problem worse. They don't have any solutions. We do have solutions. We're fixing the supply chain, which is going to reduce inflation, bringing 350,000 jobs back home. And we're going to do a windfall profits tax on these corporations. And we're going to return it to the people. And so I agree with Biden. All these issues are important, but the Democrats need more message discipline. They need more message discipline on this, because the only things that stick are the things that are repeated ad nauseum, ad infinitum. And what's the right doing? It's just, inflation bad, inflation bad, inflation bad. And the implication is vote for us because they're the party in power. They're to blame. Crime bad, crime bad, crime bad. I mean, the Democrats have just totally abandoned that issue of crime too. When there's 2 points, Joe Biden can make. Number one, we passed a gun bill already. You can thank me for that. We got red flag laws in place. We have mental health now in place, which we didn't have previously. Even though it's a very mild bill, don't get it twisted. I got it done. Nobody else was able to get it done before me. I got the bipartisan bill through, but beyond that, how are they going to lecture us on crime? We're the people who want to do universal background checks. We're the people who want to ban the high-capacity magazines. We're the people who are committed to keeping the guns out of the hands of the criminals. They want more guns. They want criminals to have the guns. What are we talking about here? We're the ones who are tougher on crime. So, there's no rebuttal to a lot of this stuff, to crime, inflation. And fact of the matter is, the numbers are what the numbers are. The Democrats had made up all the difference in the polls. Everybody was saying red wave because the evidence said that. And then the Democrats made it up after Roe versus Wade got overturned, and the Democrats had some legislative victories. And then now there's another surge on the right, and it's getting kind of yikesy. I like the aggression from Biden, but we need a little more message discipline. But that's incumbent upon Biden and other Democratic leaders to really get all the Democrats in a room and say, here are our points, here's what we're going with, hammer it home until the cows come home. And they basically never do that. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.